sit here and it's a turn the chair on 180 degrees to the food. I really enjoy that. That being said, feel free throughout the meeting to get up, get something to eat, and come back. This is supposed to be a casual environment, so don't feel like you can't wander over to the feeding trough that is available the whole meeting. So I wanted to make that very clear. Let's move into the prepared speech. The objective is simply to amuse. Our speaker, Owen Mickelson, has questioned the veracity of the Star Wars saga. For example, how can humans repair the Millennium Falcon in 2 degrees Kelvin, which is very cold? He now brings that skeptical eye to the Santa Claus stage. Let's see how it bears up to scrutiny. The story of Santa is simple. Well, let's look at load, distance, time, and see if it really is. Please join me in welcoming Owen Mickelson.
Thank you, Pat. And Pat, who likes brown things to eat, I will point out that I brought Norwegian Christmas cake, julekake, which is basically brown. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to move my computer over here. This is my first PowerPoint that I've done here at Mighty Speakers. And I dedicate this speech to Rob Reiner. I'm taking this speech to 11. No reactions. Okay, well, good. So we'll see what happens when I take it to 11. All right, this is a prepared physical analysis of Santa's alleged transcontinental one-night trip across the world distributing presents, viewed with a scientific eye. So let's examine some of the facts of Santa's voyage. First, we have the issue of flying reindeer. While there are 300,000 species of living organisms yet to be classified, there is no reindeer that is known to fly. That's not to say we don't know that yet, but it could be the case, but we don't know of any flying reindeer. We've also got Santa's client base. There are 2 billion children, people under 18 in the world, but since Santa doesn't appear to handle Muslims, Hindu, Buddhist, or Jewish children, that reduces the total count to 15% of the children in the world, to 378 million children, according to the Population Reference Bureau. On an average census rate of 3.5 children per household, that's about 92 million homes. And one presumes there's at least one good child in each one of these homes. Now, we've got a significant time crunch here. Santa's to do this one night, but he can actually work with the rotation of the Earth, and he gets 31 hours to do his mission. That, and he's going east to west, this works out to about 822, just a second, 822 visits per second. That is to say, for each Christian household with a good child, Santa has 1/1000th of a second to hop out of the sleigh, jump down the chimney, fill the stockings, distribute the remaining presents under the tree, eat whatever snacks happen to be left over, presumably not as good as what we have over here. Get back up the chimney, get back into the sleigh, and move on to the next house. Now, we've got a distance issue here, too. Assuming that each one of these about 92 million stops are evenly distributed around the Earth, which we know, of course, to be false, but for point of the discussion, we'll accept these calculations. We're now talking about 0.78 miles per household. That's a total trip of 78 million miles, not counting stops to do what most of us need to do at least once every 31 hours, plus feeding, etc. This means Santa's sleigh is moving at 650 miles per second, 3,000 times the speed of sound. For purpose of comparison, the fastest man-made vehicle on Earth, the Ulysses space probe, moves at a pokey 27 miles per second. And a conventional reindeer can run top 15 miles per hour. We've got some weight issues we have to deal with too. The payload on the sleigh adds another interesting element. Assuming that each chunk is nothing more than about a $2 medium-sized Lego set, the sleigh is carrying 321,000 tons, not including Santa, who's often described as overweight. On land, conventional reindeer can pull no more than 300 pounds. Even granting the flying reindeer that we talked about earlier could pull 10 times that amount. And this is airborne too. We cannot do the job of 8 or even 9. We need 214,000 reindeer. This increases the payload, not including the weight of the sleigh, to 350,000 tons. Again, for point of comparison, this is 4 times the weight of the Queen Elizabeth luxury liner. Now, we've got some atmospheric issues here. 350,000 tons traveling 650 miles per second creates enormous air resistance. This will heat up the reindeer in the same fashion as spacecraft re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. The lead pair of reindeer will absorb 14.3 quintillion joules of energy per second each. In short, they will burst into flames almost instantaneously, exposing the reindeer behind them, creating deafening sonic booms in their wake. The entire reindeer team will be vaporized within 4.25 thousandths of a second. We've got a G-force problem here too. Santa is going to be then subjected to centrifugal forces of 17,000 times that of gravity. Again, for point of comparison, fighter pilots pass out with 9G. A 250-pound Santa, which seems really slim given all the reports, would be pinned to the back of the sleigh by 4,315,000 pounds of force. In conclusion, if Santa ever did deliver presents on Christmas Eve, he's dead now.
Welcome, Gene.
Owen, the physics of Santa. Let me tell you, you had a great walk-up. You gave, I don't know if everyone caught it, but you talked about his Norwegian food over here. I thought that was a great folksy way to introduce your speech. You also had one thing that didn't quite hit, the Rob Reiner reference, Take It to 11. I assume that's from a movie.
Has anybody seen
Nobody heard it.
Spinal Tap?
Spinal Tap?
Spinal Tap?
Yeah, I knew it.
It's classic.
Anyways, that one didn't land, but your first one did. So you had a great intro. I thought you stood with confidence right here on the side of the lectern. You had your iPad up. You had a really nice, strong visual. I thought your slides were excellent. They were clear, very captivating, gave the right amount of information. The setup, you're talking through the physics and defying one magical evening. I thought that was beautiful, the way you set it up. You had a really good, crisp, clean intro to some rather heavy content, but it was fun. So to jump into the base, you jumped right into it. You hit us with how he goes to the Christian households and not the other religions. You said 92 million homes, I think 3.5 children per home. So you had the visit problem. I thought that was really smart how you had the visit problem, the distance problem, the weight problem, and then define gravity or force problem. The distance problem I thought was one of your best. You talked about visiting 822 homes per second, or 650 miles per second. Really good, compelling, thought-provoking metrics. Content overall was compelling. A lot of the things I hadn't considered. I always thought about, how does he get down the chimney? But all these other things you brought up had me thinking, wow, this really is far-fetched. Few things to improve on. I thought Overall, your pace was pretty good. You're a fast talker. You have a lot of information. You get it out quick. I thought for the most part you did a really good job balancing pace. You could have slowed it just a tad in the base of your speech when you were going through each of the slides. Maybe as the final zinger for that section, like 822 miles per second, just kind of draw that out a little bit more instead of saying it quickly. I think it would land a little better. I'll talk about your conclusion as well. Running up on time here, so many good things. Let's move to the conclusion. You hit that point well. You turned the page and you said, so in conclusion, if he had done all these things with the gravity forces, he'd be dead. Very accurate. I would say just rushed a tad, add in one sentence and maybe capture or summarize everything you had said. So in conclusion, the weight, the visits, the force, all of that together, he'd be dead. Maybe just drag it out one more sentence would hit it home. Overall, great speech, fun, thought-provoking, facts I hadn't considered. For this festive event, you hit it out of the park. Thank you. Other comments? Pat?
So I saw the first time you gave this speech a few weeks ago. Things that you did better, you had the PowerPoint. And I really enjoyed the slides, that added a lot to it. The one thing that maybe you did better the other time, though, is you moved around a little bit. Here you stayed behind the podium and you read a little bit. I'm not sure you needed your notes. Your notes were on the screen. You could have looked at the screen, then turned around and told us that. But that's one thing you did, I noticed you did last time, is you moved around a little bit more. But again, as mentioned, it's one of the more enjoyable speeches I've heard this year. Very good.
Good points. Others?
I'm sad. Simba's dead.
I hadn't thought about the reindeer pulling all that weight, and you showed me that in great calculation. I thought, yeah, that's pretty far-fetched.
One thing to let everybody know is I experimented with a new way of developing PowerPoint, and that was AI generated. It came through a tool called Gamma, and it's free, and that was all done. I just put in the inputs, I just put in the script, and it churned it out in 20 seconds. And I didn't touch it, I didn't edit it, it's all straight from Gamma. And Gamma can do more if you pay them $20 a month. So I'm in IT, so I want to experiment with as much stuff, technical stuff as I can. So just some of you might find it interesting to also do your PowerPoint with a Gamma presentation.
So from your experience, it's better than ChatGPT if you're making a
Well, Gamma is graphic specific.
Okay.
ChatGPT is more text, and it probably has some graphic
Yeah, it has.
capacities.
Yes.
Gamma is tailored just for graphics.
I'm gonna keep us cruising just because we're running behind. We can talk Gamma later. All right, can I move for a timer's report for the speech?
Yeah, of course. Jane spent 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
Thank you.
Which is
And, how about Owen's speech? How long did his come in?
Owen spent 5 minutes and 45 seconds, which is very much on time.
Wonderful. That concludes the speech evaluation. At this time, I'll bring up our master evaluator, Ross.